In case y'all didn't know, it's Black Girl Sunday. Celebrate your girl, or not, it's whatever.
We hear about a lot of missing children, but there was something really different about Alexis. She was this social media star.
That was one of the alarming things. Does she have a stalker? Somebody following her?
One of the videos captures Alexis Murphy's vehicle pulling in. You can't really tell who's driving.
It was definitely unlikely that Alexis drove her car to some random movie theater in Charlottesville. It was still a lot of questions going through my head. What happened? Where is she?
Alexis has virtually disappeared off the face of the earth. It's just full throttle forward.
It's August 2013. In the rural enclave of Shipman, Virginia.
Go.
17-year-old Alexis Murphy is preparing for senior year at Nelson County High School.
She definitely was a person that could brighten your day on your worst day. My name is Trina Harmon Murphy, and Alexis is my great niece. She was just an incredibly humble, genuine person. She was the total package.
I'm Jasmine Murphy, and I'm Alexis' cousin. She was looking forward to her senior year playing volleyball. I did assistant coaching with her for 2 years. Seeing her play and playing against her at the open gyms, she had definitely developed and grown as a player.
Hey, where my Pacers fans at? Oh, I was serious. None? None at all.
She was definitely attached to her cell phone for sure. If the battery was dying, she would plug in multiple extension cords so that she could still move about the house and take the phone with her.
Okay, my life is pretty much complete right now. Whoever invented this, thank you so much.
Alexis's journey to the cusp of adulthood began on June 5th, 1996, when she was born into a loving, extended family.
Even when she was a baby, she was just a funny, outgoing person. She was always getting into stuff, but I definitely saw her grow up. She was definitely smart. She could come to me for things, or if I had clothes that were too small, hand me down to Alexis. She loved them.
She grew up around most of her cousins, so cousins are more like brothers and sisters.
As she got older, you saw her get more interested in music, dancing. She was forever recording herself dancing. If I was dancing in the car, she would just laugh at me and was like, don't ever do that again. She just a joy. She loved her music and dancing. She definitely did.
Alexis and her friends spend their free time at a local destination, Liberty Gas Station.
The gas station that has the McDonald's connected to it was definitely like the teenage hangout spot.
Alexis went to that gas station every single day. It's a rural county, the gas station is just kind of where kids hang out.
Alexis's social world, however, extends far beyond Shipman, Virginia.
My name is Katie Love, and I was an investigative reporter covering the Alexis Murphy case. In 2013, we're just starting to understand the power of Twitter, and Alexis got it right away. You knew what she was up to because she would tweet it.
In case y'all didn't know, it's Black Girl Sunday. Celebrate your girl, or not, it's whatever.
The average teenager probably has a couple hundred followers. Alexis was completely different. We're talking about 12,000 people who just wanted to know what she was up to. She was this social media star.
Gotta go feed the dogs. Don't nobody feel like doing that. Bring your ass here. I haven't even named whatever.
We would joke about it, and she was like, I don't even know how they're following me. I'm like, well, they obviously like what they see or what you're doing.
On Wednesday, July 31st, Alexis hangs out with her cousin, Jasmine.
After volleyball camp, I had asked her to ride with me to Madison Heights to get my eyebrows done. And I remember we had went to the Chinese place to get dinner. And I took her to McDonald's to get a frappe. I believe we had texted that Friday, just randomly, because we always do, but I hadn't talked to her at all that Saturday.
Little did she know, that was the last time that Jasmine would ever see Alexis. Later that weekend, in the early morning hours of Sunday, August 4th, Alexis's family notices something peculiar.
Alexis's grandma realizes that she's missed her 11 p.m. curfew, which is really strange. Alexis never missed curfew, was always in the house on time, and they have no idea where she is. That day, she left the house in her dad's car, the white Nissan, and the car is nowhere to be found.
Of course, her grandmother, immediately started to call her phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Alexis was always tapped into that phone. When she didn't answer it, that was a big clue. I thought she'd had a car accident. That was my first thought. Her mom works night shift at the post office, so she came home from work that morning and immediately went to the sheriff's office and filled out a missing persons report.
I'm William Everett Mays, Jr. I go by Billy. I was investigator lieutenant with Nelson County Sheriff's Office. I get a phone call, and it's brought to my attention by one of the deputies with Nelson County that this young lady didn't return home. The deputies had already spoke with the family and got a lot of information that I needed to start my investigation. Teenagers, a lot of times, tend to be a little secretive about what they're doing. We have to take into account that maybe she is with someone that she doesn't want you to know about, or she's went somewhere that she doesn't want you to know.
As Lieutenant Mays gets up to speed on the case, he's alarmed by Alexis's large Twitter following.
She had a lot of followers on social media, but with that, there's the downside. It's just a breeding ground for predators. But just in a matter of hours, I had a huge resource available. We had social media experts from the FBI that were devoted solely to that. That was critical in this case.
I remember coming through her social media and seeing some of the things people would post, like, oh, I would like to meet you, or you may see me sooner than you think. That was one of the alarming things. Does she have a stalker? Is somebody following her?
As investigators dig through the large digital trove, they spot one tweet that points to her plans for early Saturday evening.
As she was posted throughout the day, one of those said she was burg-bound, which means she was headed to Lynchburg, which is a city just south of Lovingston.
Her family explains to investigators the enthusiasm behind the 6:04 p.m. post.
She had an appointment for her senior pictures the following week, and she loved hair and makeup. So her plans that day were to go to Lynchburg and buy hair to do her hair extensions for her senior pictures. Her mom gave her the lecture on not spending too much money on hair, and she told them she loved them and got in her car and drove away. That was her very last tweet.
Police reach out to the Lynchburg store she was headed to, but shopkeepers say she never arrived. Whether or not she ever set foot in the city is a mystery.
The million-dollar question is why? Why she deviated from that plan, and was that voluntary?
To track her movements, Mays subpoenas Alexis's cell records. But while he waits for the results, late that afternoon, Trina devises a plan to find her using an app called Find My Phone.
Oak Ridge Estates was the last location that the Find Me app on her phone actually provided. It's a vast piece of property. It's several thousand acres. So a lot of resources from the sheriff's office and the state police are focused on that area. There was a huge gathering of people. There was tons and tons of people willing to help.
By 6:30, there was a state trooper helicopter in the air looking for her car. By 7:15, the first FBI agent was on the scene. You're on a pendulum between hope and despair.
A suspect on the road to Lynchburg.
It almost made you afraid to even be out at night alone.
And clues from Alexis's final moments lead police to the end of a dirt road.
It looks like something out of a horror movie.
In late July, days before Alexis disappeared, her aunt dropped by her home.
It was just a typical visit, and she was just her happy-go-lucky self, you know. We said our goodbyes as always. Love you, see you later, and that was it. I mean, the normal moments are the ones that are really important, you know. Lord knows I wish I had known that was the last time I was gonna see her.
Just hours after Alexis is reported missing, an app called Find My Phone leads police to a 4,800-acre estate called Oak Ridge.
They're searching areas thinking perhaps there was a vehicle accident, that she had ran off the road. We also had contacted the state police for their helicopters to come in and fly the area. So a lot of the attention was focused in that area.
After hours of searching, investigators begin to question the accuracy of the phone tracking app.
Law enforcement find nothing, so it kind of leads them back to square one. That was like this alarm of what is going on.
Perhaps she's establishing a little bit more independence and she wants a little more privacy, as most teenagers do. But her family was very adamant that that was not the case. This probably is bigger than what we think.
With Alexis's phone records still pending, authorities widen their search radius and call in more help, as Mays takes a darker view of the situation.
It's becoming more evident to me that this is probably not a defiant juvenile and this is probably not an accident. So time is of the essence, it's critical. And I was basically the one overseeing all this. We reach out to the Virginia State Police for their special agents, and we probably had close to 50, 60 special agents from the FBI there, which was incredible.
I definitely saw that this was something serious now, more serious than we had thought before.
As the investigation intensifies, the Murphy family's plight explodes into the spotlight.
In the newsroom, we hear about a lot of missing children, but there was something really different about Alexis and how strange it was for this girl to suddenly have no trace.
Family members say 17-year-old Alexis Murphy is a good girl, star volleyball player at Nelson County High School, a devoted daughter who always answers her phone and text.
She became everybody's daughter, everybody's niece, everybody's granddaughter.
But Laura Murphy has been unable to contact her daughter since August 3rd.
Somebody knows something. If it's the littlest thing that they may not think is important, it is.
It allowed people to connect with her family. It was amazing to see how many people organized search parties after search parties looking for Alexis.
My name is Mark Egeman. I work for the Virginia Department of Emergency Management as a search and rescue coordinator. Watching the story develop and grow in the news until we get that call from state police. And then that's when we become involved and it becomes an active mission for us. You have a tremendous amount of woods and country to have to search on foot.
The whole community has mobilized at this point. This was very out of the norm for Nelson County.
It's unclear at this point if investigators have found anything of use for them as they continue to search for Alexis Murphy.
In the midst of this publicity, law enforcement scrutinizes the road Alexis would have taken to Lynchburg. In recent years, it has been the site of a rash of mysterious crimes.
Last count, I believe it's 32 young women and men that are missing on some portion of the 29 corridor. There's something going on for sure on the 29 corridor that needs attention.
Locals attribute this violence to a single anonymous culprit.
When I first started working for Nelson County Sheriff's Office, I had heard about the 29 stalker. There were some young ladies that had been abducted along Route 29 from, say, Albemarle all the way up to Barboursville. You start to wonder if this is something that is connected. Yeah, it was a scare.
It almost made you afraid to even be out at night alone. It was definitely one of those things you kind of opened your eyes even more.
But soon, on Monday, August 5th, 2 days after she vanished, Mays receives some crucial documents: Alexis's cell phone records.
We started looking at the cell phone information and the cell phone records, and were able to determine that Oak Ridge that we didn't need to be there. The phone was pinging somewhere else. One of those hits indicated she was in the Liberty gas station. That's where the focus went at that point. We were able to go and pull that video surveillance of Alexis being there.
Could this footage be the key to finding Alexis?
She was there, and she was there alone. So we were trying to connect all those dots and put those pieces of the puzzle together. That's the last known ping on her cell phone. We knew that this was probably the last known place that she was when she went missing.
In the case of Alexis Murphy, police have obtained surveillance footage from the Liberty gas station on the day she disappeared, after her last tweet around 6 p.m. Could this video hold clues to her whereabouts?
It was somewhere around 7 p.m. What I seen when we watched the video was Alexis coming into the store to pay for her gas. She looked fine when she was inside to me. She didn't appear to be distressed or distraught or in any kind of danger or scared, and she was there alone. There was really nothing that looked out of place. And then she exits the gas station. She couldn't be very close when she left. It was somewhere around 7 p.m., and I believe it was 7:17 p.m. It was the last activity on her phone. So we have roughly a 17-minute window there that we're trying to figure out what happened. We were starting to canvass the area, the perimeter around the Liberty gas station, talking to every resident there. We're looking for this young lady and her phone. There is a car lot directly across Route 29. We were searching that area and searching trunks of cars just because we didn't know.
Law enforcement finds no sign of Alexis or her car or phone. But on August 6th, 3 days after she went missing, a tipster contacts police about a major discovery in Charlottesville.
Tuesday evening, someone just who had watched the news and had heard about Alexis Murphy's disappearance had noticed this vehicle sitting there and called us. Said, hey, this car's here in Charlottesville. So, of course, we drop everything. We haul freight to Charlottesville. It was Alexis Murphy's car. I wasn't expecting it to be found in Charlottesville. Wasn't close to Nelson County.
The city of Charlottesville lies about 40 miles north of Alexis's hometown of Shipman and 70 miles north of Lynchburg.
It was the Carmichael Cinema area. Then, of course, the media is there before I get there. And it's a circus. It's ridiculous. It made it very difficult for us to get in there to do what we needed to do.
It was leaked on social media that the car was found before the police ever had the opportunity to call and tell us.
It was definitely unlikely that Alexis drove her car to some random movie theater in Charlottesville. If she said she was going to the Berg, then that's where she was going, to Lynchburg. It's odd to end up the opposite direction in which you said you were going. But when I got the news that they had found her car, I wanted something. Some kind of answer to, besides, okay, they found her car. Is she in there? Or what's in the trunk?
My biggest fear was when we popped the trunk, Alexis was going to be in the trunk. And when we do open the trunk, she isn't. Which, it was a relief, but at the same time, it's like, where is she? And her phone is not there.
So you go from, yay, she might still be alive, to, okay, where do we go from here? This is a big piece of the puzzle, but Alexis has virtually disappeared off the face of the earth. You can't find their phone. It's just full throttle forward.
Determined to figure out how the car got there, Mays obtained surveillance footage from surrounding businesses.
There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of CCTV that we're going through. And luckily, one of the videos captures Alexis Murphy's vehicle pulling in on Sunday night at around, I believe it was around 10 o'clock. It's a real grainy video. You can't really tell who's driving. You can just tell that there is a figure that gets out of it. And the subject walks out of frame. It was a creepy scene.
Could this mysterious figure be Alexis? Despite her bold personality, her family thinks otherwise.
She was definitely scared of the dark, so her to walk off in the dark without a light, no, was definitely unlikely to be Alexis.
While the individual does not appear to be Alexis, their identity is unknown.
You can't identify if it's a man, a woman, age, anything. It's not Alexis driving the car, but we have no idea who this person was. Search teams are still out there looking for any clues of where Alexis had gone.
Desperate to understand the mystery figure's connection to Alexis, investigators re-examined the footage from the gas station.
When you look at the video going back, there was an individual that held the door open for her. And there was some it appeared, small talk.
There was something really interesting, and they see something they had never seen before. There was a man holding the door for Alexis Murphy. And it looks like on the footage that there's some sort of conversation between Alexis and this unidentified man. So suddenly, there is a new person of interest in the case. So we're starting to wonder if it's the same person in Charlottesville.
In hopes of identifying a man seen in surveillance footage, police in the Alexis Murphy investigation race to where it was recorded, Liberty gas station.
So there was a question of whether that was someone who maybe was involved in Alexis's disappearance. The attendants who work there were able to easily say, this is a guy named Randy Taylor. He was not someone who just kind of slid under community radar. This is a distinctive man who has this huge Daffy Duck tattoo on his neck. The gas station attendant knew Randy because he has a car that's very distinctive, this camo truck.
Once Lieutenant Mays learns of Taylor's vehicle, he digs deeper into the footage.
The cameras, unfortunately, were not all over the parking lot. But there is a camera that's on a portion of the parking lot, and it catches just a tiny piece of Route 29. Just a few minutes after Alexis exits the gas station, you see this camouflage vehicle and Alexis Murphy's white cars directly behind it. She was actually going north towards Charlottesville, and now she's following him.
The big question is we have no idea why she followed him, which is really strange. What's going on?
Mays sizes up the investigation's new prime target.
We've got to come up with a game plan. Let's figure out what the best avenue of attack is as far as the interview with him, and let's pin him down.
Investigators discover that Taylor lives in a camper just off of Route 29. 4 days after Alexis disappeared, Mays heads towards the property.
We had put him under 24-hour surveillance. I was told by the other agents where this camper was located, but I couldn't find it. The grass was so high around the driveway. It goes into this property. So I finally locate this road. We pull in, and we're basically walking up to this thing. It's just an old abandoned house. Then there's this blue and white camper. It looks like something out of a horror movie. I remember knocking on Randy's door, and he opens the door. We explained to Randy why we're there. And I basically asked him about being at the Liberty gas station. We were looking for this young lady, and he said he had no knowledge. He's never seen her, didn't know her, wasn't at the Liberty gas station, had no idea what we were talking about. And that was an important part of the case for me because I knew then that he was hiding something. But once we confront him with the evidence, there's a video of him holding the door for her, and things changed. He told us he ran into her at Liberty. He admits that she was there.
Without prompting, Taylor launches into a story.
He even goes on to elaborate that he met Alexis Murphy probably a year prior to this at a car wash. He was smoking some marijuana, and she had made a comment about the marijuana. According to him, she was talking about how it smelled like some really good stuff. So when he saw her at the Liberty gas station on August 3rd, he knew who she was.
When pressed again about the August 3rd encounter, Taylor offers an astonishing account.
Also, he's telling us that she's with a black guy, and they're talking about a marijuana sale, and Randy wanted to buy from the guy that she was with. So they come up with an agreement, and they leave, and he goes to his camper. Alexis comes, and this other gentleman follows suit. He buys marijuana. They have some small talk, shoot the bull, and they leave together. That's the last he's seen of her. I didn't believe the story, but we could not rule out the possibility of someone else being involved.
To validate Taylor's story, Mays files for a warrant to search his trailer. Alexis's social media is also scoured in search of the man in Taylor's description.
They got the picture off of some Facebook page or something, but very quickly we were able to identify this guy as Damien. Damien was a resident of Nelson County, but he leaves town shortly after Alexis Murphy is missing and goes to Alabama. That was alarming. That was enough for us to further investigate this.
I knew Damien. We went to high school together. So Alexis' relationship with Damien, I don't know exactly what it was. I knew he worked at McDonald's at the time. She always was at McDonald's getting a frappe. Was he one of the last people to see her? Did he have something to do with it? Did he know about it? It was still a lot of questions going through my head. What happened? Where is she?
Police uncover disturbing clues.
We see that a fingernail is embedded into the carpet. Hearing this kind of evidence, your stomach just turns.
Authorities close in on a suspect.
I don't think he expected the rain of hell that came down on him.
And cryptic circumstances envelop Alexis's final moments.
So it leaves me with the million-dollar question: how did you get her there?
Investigators have learned that a friend of Alexis, who left town after she disappeared, may have been the last person to see her alive.
So myself and Special Agent Pittman with the FBI, we flew to Alabama. We made arrangements to meet with Damien and talk to him in further detail about what his involvement may or may not have been.
As they sit down to interrogate Damien, Mays asks him about his whereabouts on the weekend Alexis vanished.
He was in Nelson County staying in a hotel with his girlfriend. He said he was at the blood bank donating plasma, and this was right around the time that she went missing. But he wasn't anywhere close to where Alexis was in Nelson County. So he wasn't even in the area when she went missing. He said he had no involvement whatsoever.
After the interrogation, Mays returns to Virginia and digs into Damien's account of the weekend of August 3rd.
We were able to corroborate his timeline and his alibis. There was nothing, there was no dots to connect with Damien. It was just another ploy for Randy to throw the investigation off.
After clearing Damien, critical information in the case against Randy Taylor comes through.
We were able to secure a search warrant for his camper. We executed that search warrant. We go in, we explain to Randy why we're there, and we pull him out of the camper. The forensic techs go in and start the evidence recovery process.
They go to his house, his trashy dump of a camper. It was a bit messy. Inside, they find evidence. We see that a fingernail is embedded into the carpet, but they find a hair extension and then a diamond stud. Hearing this kind of evidence, your stomach just turns.
It wasn't something good when I heard that they found all those things there, because those are things that any girl, you're not going to just let that go. It had to be taken from you. Alexis didn't have false nails, things like that. It's not going to just come out easy.
The evidence is sent for DNA testing. Then, authorities search the grounds around the camper for Alexis's body.
Behind the property, there was just all kinds of garbage and trash that had been piled up, and there's a mountain. And behind the house, there's a trail that goes up the mountain. We search the side of the mountain to see if he's taken her up the mountain. It was a very difficult search. You know, everybody's getting ate up by ticks and chiggers. We blanketed that side of the ridge and we have nothing. No indication that anybody had been up there, no four-wheel tracks, nothing.
Her cell phone was still missing, and she's still missing. We were still hopeful that we could find more evidence. So I actually reached out to administrators with the Department of Corrections and inquired a little bit more about these cell phone dogs.
We learned that law enforcement is using canine dogs to sniff a very specific adhesive found in phones. We start to see canines sniffing Randy Taylor's camper. These law enforcement dogs are smelling some sort of scent, and they find Alexis Murphy's phone just 70 feet from Randy Taylor's camper. It's broken. It looks like someone's tried to take out the battery. Finding Alexis's white iPhone was the nail in the coffin.
This was her lifeline. I have that on your property, and she's not here. Something terrible has happened. So I really think that pretty much sealed the deal. I went ahead and arrested him for abduction with intent to defile. He looked like a ghost. I mean, like a deer in headlights. I don't think Randy expected the rain of hell that came down on him as fast as it came down on him.
After the arrest, Mays seeks out the Murphy family for a difficult discussion.
So a decision was made to set the family down and tell them we don't think she's alive and we want to go forward with a murder charge. And to do that, we had to have their support and understanding that she is dead.
I think we had to agree with the evidence that was presented before us, because obviously the evidence was there, right? And we can't find her. She has had no contact with her family. That was kind of the defining moment to know that chances are she wasn't here anymore.
As the case heads to trial, police make Randy Taylor an offer.
Before the trial, law enforcement offered Randy Taylor a deal, 20 years if you just tell the family where Alexis Murphy's body is. His response, give me 10 and I'll tell you where she is. It's like really unbelievable.
Months later, in May 2014, at the Nelson County Courthouse, the first-degree murder trial of Randy Taylor begins. While the prosecution has a wealth of evidence, the lack of a corpse presents a problem.
This was an unprecedented case in Virginia. To try someone for murder with no body, it's very hard to prosecute without a body.
In May 2014, the murder trial of Randy Taylor commences. On behalf of the state, Prosecutor Anthony Martin delivers the opening statement.
The prosecution was able to paint this really violent scene with the amount of evidence that was just found inside of his camper. Something horrible has happened.
But in their opening argument, Taylor's attorney takes aim at the prosecution's assertions.
The defense was constantly saying, there's no body, there's no murder weapon. They kept hitting on it.
His explanation of the hair extensions was the police planted it, but we knew that he was full of it.
After opening statements, the prosecution unloads its most potent evidence, an item discovered on a deeper search of Taylor's camper after his arrest.
One thing I will never forget is Randy Taylor's bloody t-shirt. Seeing the t-shirt covered in not just a little bit, but a lot of blood, you could tell the jury's mood suddenly shift.
Attorneys reveal the results of DNA testing on items found inside the camper.
And it was her DNA on the shirt. It's a mix of blood and saliva and fluid. We have her DNA on these hair extensions that were found. They're glued and woven into the hair. They don't just fall out. That indicated to us that there was a violent struggle that took place.
We know that there was nothing casual about this encounter, that it was extremely violent.
After closing arguments, the litigators turn the case over to the jury. Within hours, the jurors announce that they've reached a verdict.
I was at volleyball practice. I remember looking online and seeing guilty. And I just busted out in tears. It was a relief, like kind of a joy for us, because you're going away. You're not going to hurt anybody else.
It was a few moments of the weight has been lifted. We have some type of justice. And we did celebrate, but the next morning we still woke up to the same reality. We still don't have her.
We convict him on both counts of abduction with intent to defile and first-degree murder. And as the jury is leaving to go sentence him, Randy stood up in open court and said, "I'll take the original deal of 20 years and tell you where she is." And of course, it's too late at that point. He ended up with 2 consecutive life sentences and is currently at Red Onion spending the rest of his life in prison. So,
in the case of Taylor's continued silence, anger and mystery linger over what transpired in Alexis's final moments captured on video.
One of the big mysteries of this case is why we see Alexis Murphy's car following Randy Taylor's. We have no idea why she followed him. Somehow he gets this beautiful, talented young girl to follow him to his trashy dump of a camper. I still can't even wrap my mind around it.
Billy Mays believes the footage tells the story of a drug deal gone bad.
I think Randy had some conversation with her in the parking lot prior to coming into the store about some marijuana that he had. So I really, truly think that she followed Randy back to his camper in the thought of purchasing marijuana.
I find it impossible to believe that she would have voluntarily gone anywhere with Randy Taylor. Alexis didn't have to go with Randy Taylor if she really wanted weed. So it leaves me with the $1 million question: how did you get her there?
Despite Taylor's conviction, he refuses to reveal the location of Alexis's remains.
I can't go put flowers on my niece's grave. I can't take little pink trinkets, which was her favorite color, to put at her grave. So I will continue to look for her until I'm either not here or she's found.
Whether or not Alexis's body is ever found, her family and community will never forget her.
I still think about Alexis all the time. Her face is on my refrigerator. I have a t-shirt with her face on it. My daughter, who I now have, will know about Alexis. There was such a bright future ahead for this young lady.
I grieve the what ifs the most, you know. Where would she have gone to college? What would she have majored in? Would she have met the love of her life, you know, in school? Would she be married? Would she have kids?
It's still unreal because it's like, how can this happen to her? You kind of sit back there and wonder, what if she stayed home that day? What if? It's always that question of what if.
And they'll always remember their final moments with Alexis.
I remember we had went to the Chinese place to get dinner, and I took her to McDonald's to get a frappe. It's one of the things that I always think about, especially when it comes up the anniversary date of her going missing.
The last time I saw Alexis was the weekend before she was abducted. I mean, the normal moments are the ones that are really important. Family gatherings and parties and celebrations and regular moments. You know, we said our goodbyes as always. Love you, see you later, and that was it.
That photo is the last thing that anybody will see of her alive. I started getting these texts. Have you seen this?
A police scanner had lit up.
They were talking about a girl who was found on Valley Road.
The marks on the throat, the bruising, they were consistent with homicide.
Without a confession, the investigation could go on for months, even years.
When the case broke, it broke big and fast.
When the story starts to change, that's a pretty good indicator that someone's lying.
Here's your key piece of evidence, and it's in a picture on Facebook.
I was in shock. Like, where did this plot twist come from?
March 2015, Saskatoon, Canada. A picturesque town straddling the Saskatchewan River. 18-year-old Brittany Gargle is a senior in high school with a bright future.
I met Brittany in 8th grade. We were in gym class and we had to be partners and we played dodgeball, and after that we found out that we lived 5 blocks away from each other and we would always hang out.
I just thought she was kind of bubbly and hyper and very friendly and outgoing person. And I like that about her.
Me and Brittany love to do our hair, our makeup. Every night she'd knock on my window and we would sit outside and talk, and she'd bring pizza and Slurpees. She treated me like a sister. If I didn't have money for anything, she would hand it to me. If she didn't have anything, I'd give it to her. She was just somebody to lean on.
Brittany also impresses her friends with an unusual level of responsibility for her age.
She was 17, she was working full-time, she was going to school full-time, and she had goals. She was definitely driven to get what she wanted. She wanted to build and own her own hotels. I knew right away that this girl was going to go places and do things.
Despite her sunny disposition, Brittany had a difficult childhood. Her mother struggles with addiction, and she grew up not knowing her father.
Brittany, growing up, she lived with her grandma. She was such a kind lady, made sure she always had what she needed. She definitely wanted a relationship with her mother, but she understood that there was circumstances that she couldn't change. Brittany, she was doing really good, had her job, and doing everything that she needed to do. She seemed really great and that she was doing great in life.
On March 24th, 2015, just months before graduation, Brittany makes plans to go out with 18-year-old Cheyenne Antoine, a good friend she's known since 9th grade.
Cheyenne, she just seemed like a quiet, nice girl when I did meet her. They would go for walks and hang out outside.
Brittany and Cheyenne had developed a close bond because they both had difficult childhoods.
Cheyenne had this history where her folks had died. She was raised in the foster care system and then suffered sexual abuse.
Early in the evening, Brittany and Cheyenne stopped by Atasha's house.
And I just lent Brittany some gas money because she needed to get around. And then I told her to be careful, you know, if you need me, call me and I'll come pick you up or whatever. And she gave me a hug and that was it. That was my last interaction with her.
Just after midnight, Brittany posts a selfie on social media with Cheyenne.
They're at her grandma's house getting ready and dressed up for their evening out. Brittany was just, you know, I think she was just happy to get out and hang out with her friend. And Cheyenne looks like she's just ready to go party, and Brittany just looks so relaxed and just ready for whatever life is bringing her.
Six hours later, at 6:02 a.m. on March 25th, Saskatoon Police Radio Dispatch sends out an alert.
That particular morning, I was already out at the scene of a shooting, and the police scanner lit up. And when they switched to their emergency channel, and when they talk about a female injured and or in distress, you knew it was serious right away. At that point, I bailed out of the scene I was at and drove out to that area. I had to go see with my own eyes while it was still a fresh scene.
A motorist spotted a young woman lying on the side of the road in a remote area near the Saskatoon landfill.
Initially, on an outdoor crime scene like that, you need to protect the scene as best you can to preserve evidence as soon as you get there.
The victim appears to be in her late teens or early 20s, has no shoes on, and her body is cold to the touch.
By the time I'd gone out there, they were already. I could only get to within about 100 meters of where the body was.
Paramedics try to resuscitate the unidentified victim and rush her to the hospital. But she's pronounced dead on arrival. Police immediately suspect foul play.
The signs that she was a victim of a homicide were pretty obvious. The marks on the throat, the bruising, and all the injuries that were consistent with homicide.
At the crime scene, investigators find several potential pieces of evidence: a leather jacket, a belt, and a woman's watch.
The fact that her body was found on the outskirts of town raised a lot of red flags for investigators. My first instincts were that it was like a sexual predator type murder.
There was no immediate suspect. There was no motive. There was nothing there. Because I've covered crimes like this in the past, I thought this was a body dump. If I've hurt somebody and want to dispose of their body, this is the first natural point where you would throw a body out of a vehicle, because you've just cleared the last neighborhood. Nobody's going to see you there. It seemed pretty clear to me, based on my experience, that this is not where the person had had the bad things done to them. So right away, you had a scene that was not the crime scene.
I think there's always that kind of concern about, is this an isolated incident? Is this random? The killer is on the loose. That's often where my mind goes when I start to get into an investigation and start to cover crime cases.
Hoping to identify the victim or get leads to the killer, investigators release photos of the items found at the scene. They also release pictures of the victim's distinctive tattoos.
I think I turned the TV on around 7:30, and I turned on the news. They were talking about a girl who was found on Valley Road, and I was like, wow, that's just right down the street from where I live. And they said that they're still trying to identify her.
I started getting these texts, have you seen this? And then I looked and I'm like, there was the jacket, the tattoo, the line, the 2 stars. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Brittany. My heart sunk.
I literally dropped on my couch and started crying because I was like, this is no way. She was just here not even like 9 hours ago. And then I ended up calling the police station and I said, I know who it is. And they asked me to come down. I went down to the police station right away and did a statement, and I couldn't believe it still. Like, it was just unreal. Like, I almost couldn't fathom that it happened, but it happened and I couldn't stop crying. Those images, the jacket and the broken watch, I couldn't get those images out of my head because she was wearing those things when she left my house.
So they had the identification fairly quickly, but that's all they had.
Like, why? That was the last night of her life. That photo is the last thing that anybody will see of her alive.
Investigators key in on an unusual murder weapon.
That belt may well have made the marks on her throat that caused her death.
And focus on an unlikely suspect.
I was shocked because of who it was.
Regardless of how improbable or salacious a story, they have to take it apart.
And that's why a lot of us started thinking, maybe, this is going to be one of those unsolved mysteries.
Police in Saskatoon, Canada have learned that a murder victim found dumped on the side of the road is a local high school senior, Brittany Gargle.
This was a young woman who didn't fit the image of someone you would expect to find dead on the edge of town. She wasn't living on the street. She had stuff together. She had jobs. She had a family. She had all of those things.
When detectives learn from Brittany's family that she was active on social media, they delve into her accounts, looking for insights about her life and perhaps clues about what led to her death.
The police found the photo of Cheyenne and Brittany together, the selfie on the Facebook page. It was the last photo of Brittany Gargle.
They had a selfie posted of them on Facebook 6 hours before Brittany's death.
Detectives also discover a heartbreaking Facebook post by Cheyenne, made hours after Brittany's body was found.
She was posting on Brittany's Facebook wall, "Where are you? Haven't heard from you. Hope you made it home safe."
Police want to talk with Cheyenne, to learn what she can tell them about Brittany's activities on the night before her body was discovered. They don't have to look far. Prompted by all the news stories about the murder, Cheyenne comes to them.
Cheyenne Antoine called police, and she told them what had happened the night before. And she basically said that she was with Brittany, it was a party night, they went to a few bars. So there is a timeline starting to be created leading up to when Brittany's body was found.
Cheyenne tells police that on March 24th, around midnight, she started partying at Manchester's pub. A couple hours later, Cheyenne says they went to a house party. And by 4 a.m., ended up at the Colonial Pub and Grill.
They apparently met a guy there. Brittany asked him for a lighter, invited him along.
Cheyenne describes him as a white male, about 30 years old, but she does.
After that, Cheyenne said that she got dropped off to visit her uncle and that she didn't ever see Brittany after that or had no idea where she went from there. And she actually gets her uncle on the phone to corroborate this story, and he, gives the same information.
As investigators begin trying to identify the mystery man Cheyenne says she last saw Brittany with, on March 26th, the day after Brittany was found by the side of the road, the results of her autopsy come in.
It was clear that Brittany had not been sexually assaulted. She died of suffocation by ligature, basically strangled to death. From the patterns on her neck, it wasn't a rope or a shoelace, but it was something else that left unusual marks.
One of the items of clothing that was found alongside Brittany's body was a belt. And the belt, a very interesting part of the case because they believe that the belt was the murder weapon.
That belt may well have made the marks on her throat of the ligature that caused her death.
Brittany's family doesn't recognize the belt as belonging to her. Detectives send all of the items found near Brittany's body to the crime lab for DNA testing. When the results of the DNA tests come in, they show traces of Brittany's DNA on the belt, along with one other unidentified individual. One week after her, family and friends attend her funeral. Despite the injuries she suffered, her family wants an open casket.
Walking in there was hard. As seeing all her high school friends. And we got to go up and say goodbye. And it was really hard because she didn't even look like Brittany. Her face was different. It was so swollen from the damage that you literally could not recognize her. And it was really hard to say goodbye.
As Brittany's friends mourn, detectives continue to follow up on the information provided by Brittany's friend Cheyenne. They visit the bars she says the pair went to, hoping surveillance video of the man Cheyenne says she saw with Brittany.
Everything you do is on camera now. And it's such a big part of homicide investigations now.
The bars do have security systems. And the footage confirms that the girls pulled into the parking lot at the first bar, Manchester's Pub, at midnight, just as Cheyenne reported. Then, investigators move on to the final bar Cheyenne says they visited that night.
Cheyenne told the police that Brittany left in the early morning hours with a male individual from the Colonial Pub and Grill. The story was that she left with a male acquaintance. The police, of course, checked the surveillance videos from those two pubs.
But when police scour the video from the Colonial, it tells a very different story from the one they heard from Cheyenne.
They don't see any sign of Cheyenne and Brittany.
When Cheyenne said they were at the Colonial Pub and Grill and that Brittany left with another male, police knew that wasn't true when they watched the surveillance videos, and that simply did not happen. They were not there.
Police hunting for the killer of 18-year-old Brittany Gargle are reviewing hours of surveillance video from the last bar she is thought to have visited on the night of her murder. But they can find no images of either Brittany, her friend Cheyenne, or the man with whom Cheyenne says she left the bar.
Well, geez, they don't turn up on any other surveillance video. That really threw people.
Police are now very suspicious of this narrative they've been given.
And what they did is start going through Cheyenne's story and looking for inconsistencies.
That includes taking another look at Cheyenne's claim that Brittany and the man she met at the Colonial Pub gave her a ride and dropped her off to visit her uncle around 4 a.m. on March 25th. A story her uncle corroborated. So detectives obtained the security footage from the assisted living facility where Cheyenne's uncle lives.
They examined those surveillance videos, and that was not true either. So her story was starting to fall apart.
So then they go talk to her uncle.
And he cracks. And he basically says, yeah, my niece made me make it up because the real story she gave me was a lot more intense. And he's going, I don't know if this happened. This is just what she told me. Cheyenne had told her uncle they were out at the bar that night and that they essentially went back to a motel room with what she described as two black men. And she told her uncle that they got into some kind of argument over cocaine. Cheyenne goes to the bathroom. When she comes back out, Brittany's on a bed. She has marks on her neck. And she's apparently dead. And one of these guys holds a gun to her head and basically tells her, you have to help me get rid of her.
And then she went to her uncle's house.
Detectives are immediately skeptical of the story Cheyenne's uncle claims she told him.
I think what's problematic for the police is, regardless of how improbable or salacious a story Cheyenne Antoine is offering, they have to take it apart and dismiss it to their satisfaction.
You have to investigate it. You have no choice.
That's the definition of what a police investigation is. You have to be able to say, you know, actually, we did check this out. We looked at the video, and there were no black drug dealers at the Colonial or wherever the hell you were saying you were that night. It just doesn't add up.
Cheyenne's second story, two black fellows killed Brittany, was thoroughly investigated, and that clearly did not happen either. That didn't make a lot of sense. Neither of those stories panned out. There was no evidence to support any of them.
Cheyenne's inconsistencies and outright lies earn her another interrogation. On May 5th, 5 weeks after Brittany's murder, detectives interview her again. But this time, they meet at the Saskatoon jail. Because Cheyenne has recently been arrested for shoplifting.
She was not willing to share anything with the police. She wouldn't talk about that evening at all. That made it difficult. But with her various stories and her various stories not checking out, it became obvious that she was a suspect.
I remember them saying, so they are looking into Cheyenne, and then my heart just dropped. How is that possible?
I was in shock, and I just looked at my partner, and my partner looked at me, and we both were like, she was in our home a couple times. Like, what happened? Where did this plot twist come from?
Despite her conflicting stories, investigators have no evidence connecting Cheyenne to Brittany's murder, and no obvious motive for her to have done it.
Even though you strongly suspect a person of the crime, you have to keep a clear mind and not get so laser focused on the person telling the falsehoods that you get basically tunnel vision and you miss a possible suspect.
Without any witnesses and no apparent motive, it was pretty clear this was going to be a tough case to crack.
Two months after Brittany Gargle's murder, police have identified her friend Cheyenne Antoine as a suspect, based on the misinformation Cheyenne has told them about the last night of Brittany's life. But they have no evidence yet to support those suspicions.
Police are very tight-lipped about investigations here. We do nothing other than what they want us to know in the investigation stage of something, and their reason is always because it's under investigation.
Everybody was getting very upset. They couldn't understand, why is this taking so long? And that's why a lot of us started thinking, like, maybe, you know, this is going to be one of those unsolved mysteries.
Why? What happened? Like, why does nobody know what happened? Like, this could happen to anybody else. It just drove me crazy.
Then, Brittany's family receives a phone call from out of the blue, from someone who says they want to get something off their chest.
A relative of Cheyenne's, her auntie, admitted that the night that Brittany died, Cheyenne had driven up and was in a panicky state.
It sounds like it was such a chaotic night. Cheyenne was drunk, and obviously good decisions weren't being made all around.
Cheyenne was drunk, crying, upset, saying she had strangled her friend Brittany.
Brittany's family immediately reports the call to the police, and investigators quickly track down Cheyenne's aunt. She confirms the story and breaks open the case.
And that was one of the big leads that police had been missing.
The aunt's damning story convinces investigators that they finally found Brittany's killer. But there still isn't solid enough evidence for an arrest.
Anything the aunt said would have to be solidified by evidence.
With no physical proof that Cheyenne killed her friend, police are now hoping for a direct confession. But even when confronted with her aunt's story, Cheyenne continues to deny that she had anything to do with Brittany's death.
It was really frustrating. Without a confession from the suspect, an investigation could go on for months, even years.
The fact that Cheyenne wouldn't give a statement to the police made it difficult. She wouldn't talk about that evening at all, other than the lies that we know that she told the police.
Under Canadian law, detectives need stronger evidence than the aunt's story to obtain a warrant for Cheyenne's arrest, or even a DNA test.
On how long it took, it felt ridiculous. But I understand at the same time, these are not things you find out overnight, and it takes quite a long time.
On September 10th, 2015, 6 months after the murder, Cheyenne posts on social media about how much she loves and misses her friend.
It presents like somebody who's really genuine and worried about their friend.
She posted that long paragraph about, I hope whoever he is, he's found. I knew there was something more to it, just didn't seem right.
Cheyenne's Facebook comment pours salt in the wounds of Brittany's loved ones, and it also adds to law enforcement's suspicions of her.
It just must have been maddening for them, because they would know. We've got so much, but we don't have it all.
The case drops out of the headlines, and to those outside of the investigation, it appears to go cold.
I mean, nobody was talking. Everyone was kind of wondering what had happened with Brittany Gargoyle's death.
The Saskatoon police kept a pretty close eye on Cheyenne. They knew where she was, they knew what she was doing. The police are very diligent investigating serious crime like this. They just don't stop.
As part of that effort, detectives decide to take a fresh look at all of the evidence they've collected. And they discover detail in their files that they now realize was previously overlooked.
And that's where the selfie picture comes into play. A very, very important picture.
When investigators re-examine their case file in the murder of Brittany Gargoyle, they realize a key piece of evidence may have been hiding in plain sight. The selfie that Brittany posted just hours before her death.
We had the photo of Cheyenne and Brittany together 6 hours before she died. And if you look closely, tucked in the bottom corner of that photo, Cheyenne's wearing the belt they found at the scene.
It's this thick black braided belt. It's quite distinct. I mean, you wouldn't have thought anything about it if you had just regularly looked at that photo. It's not sinister, just presents like two smiling friends.
I think that was like an aha moment.
When the case broke, it broke big and fast.
Here's your key piece of evidence, and it's in a picture on Facebook. Doesn't get much better than that when you're trying to prosecute somebody for murder.
It's like playing poker where you turn the cards and the whole deck flips. They went from having nothing to having everything.
The discovery gives the detectives the evidence they need to order new DNA tests on the belt.
It has both the girls' DNA on it. It substantiates the theory that the belt was the murder weapon. That essentially Cheyenne used that belt to strangle Brittany.
Now that they have the evidence they've been looking for, tying Cheyenne to Brittany's murder, detectives bring her in for one more interview.
You should always attempt to get a confession. It lets them tell what happened in their own words, even though you investigated and you have a clear picture of what happened.
But Cheyenne still will not confess. In fact, she still refuses to talk at all.
Cheyenne was just shutting down at that point. Maybe it was weighing on her.
Despite her continued silence, police finally have enough to arrest Cheyenne for second-degree murder.
It was shock and happiness because we finally had some answers. So I was happy about the answers, but I was shocked because of who it was. We honestly thought it was just she lost her friend, and we all felt bad for her. Now it makes me angry. Don't know how she slipped through the cracks for so long. It was just shocking.
After her arrest, Cheyenne tells detectives she is finally ready to talk.
She basically said it was a party night. They had gone at least to a house party that had been corroborated, and lots of drugs and alcohol were being used that night. By all accounts, both women were intoxicated. They went to a few bars. She says that her last memory is at 4:30 in the morning of being in a McDonald's, and that she remembers, she didn't really use the term getting into a fight with, but Brittany getting frustrated over something. She doesn't remember what happened after that, but she couldn't deny that she was the person that killed her friend. She said she woke up and knew that something bad had happened between her and Brittany. But she was just so unable to accept it. And so instead she chose to try to deny and mislead. And I guess maybe that's easier when you really don't remember what happened.
It really, really makes you second guess every person in your life. So now it's like, I go and look at my friends and I'm kind of scared. So I can't hang out with people alone due to the fact of what happened to her.
As Cheyenne's trial approaches, Canadian Crown prosecutors face a unique challenge.
One of the frustrating things about her not really admitting what she did, there was no motive. She didn't offer a reason as to why she killed her friend.
It's one of those cases where we really didn't get an answer as to why this happened. And that has a lot to do with drugs. The fact that Cheyenne was so intoxicated that night that she can't remember killing someone, like, I think speaks volumes to the unanswered questions of this case. What could have made Cheyenne so angry in that moment that that's where her anger went?
So all of a sudden, this notion of culpability is a little more unclear. There's no clear motive. And the Crown, by law, is obligated to go through a checklist of factors to take into account. Her family circumstances, education, addictions, poverty, all of that.
Sometimes you just don't know what the motive is, and no one will ever tell you. It doesn't make sense why a person kills another person or commits a horrible crime against another person. And sometimes there is no motive. You're just evil.
Two years after the murder of Brittany Gargle, her friend Cheyenne Antoine is charged with second-degree murder. Cheyenne claims that due to the drugs and alcohol she consumed, she has no memory of the night that Brittany died. As her trial approaches, prosecutors believe they can prove Cheyenne killed Brittany. But to maximize her sentence, they'll also have to prove she intended to murder her.
The fact that Cheyenne wouldn't admit what she did to the police made it difficult to prove criminal intent. Second-degree murder is a murder with full intent to kill. Manslaughter can have the reduced intent to kill. We accepted the plea of guilty to manslaughter on the basis that she was drunk at the time.
Cheyenne Antoine is sentenced to 7 years in prison. She is eligible for release in 2024.
Seven years actually is the ballpark for manslaughter sentence in Saskatchewan. And I've seen it as low as 2 years.
Still, Brittany's loved ones are devastated.
She was a wonderful person whose life was cut short, and it's not fair. It's just not fair.
We thought it was bullshit. She was given so many chances. What more do you need to see that this person is not going to learn?
People have gone to jail a lot longer for killing their dog or cat. It does not make sense. Why is she getting a slap on the wrist? She's still young enough to go out there and live a full life, still have a family, build everything and anything that Brittany will never have.
Brittany's friends are in disbelief that Cheyenne could forget strangling her.
I think she knows and remembers, but is playing it off as, I was inebriated and I'm going to use that card. And I don't think that's fair either.
They also struggle with how long it took for police to connect the dots and make an arrest.
It felt ridiculous. We're not going to look at a picture and be like, oh, look, there's the murder weapon. But it was a little frustrating that the answer was right there.
The existence of the photo and why it took so long to really definitively connect that to Cheyenne, I still don't really quite know. But I think the numerous attempts to mislead police certainly did not make the investigation straightforward. They would have had to follow a lot of false leads, and that takes time and resources. And I mean, we don't have a huge police service here, so it's one of those things where I think they just had to eventually get the right things to crack, and that eventually happened.
The fact that it was a friend who took Brittany's life is especially difficult for her loved ones. But they are determined that her memory will live on.
I miss her bubbly, happy, positive personality. I miss her quite often because I see her every day. I don't tear up every day, but I still, once in a while, I do get a little bit emotional thinking about back in the day with her. What she could have been now. I just feel saddened that she's missed out on her life.
I got to hang out with Brittany 2 weeks prior to everything that happened to her. We got to sit in her car and catch up for a bit, talking about our lives and where we are and how we're so surprised how much we're growing up and about being the people that we are. When I'm walking by the river and going for walks, every day it reminds me of her. Brittany was a very loving person, and she did everything she could to make another person happy.
ਜਿੰਦਾ ਜੀ ਚਾਵਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੜੀਆਂ जिंदा जी चावड़ा दे विच कड़ियां ऐड़ी मौत तरोड़े तड़ियां जींद को ना मारो ना मारो ना मारो बड़ी जान जींदा कड़ियां दा बिजमान के जींद को ना मारो जिंदा जी पंजा पेड़ा दा लाला जिंदा जी पंजा पेड़ा दा लाला एक कन मुंदरी दुए कन वाला हसदा कर सिवे कूण सुमाला भेड़ा रो रोया कण लाला जीत को ना मारो ना मारो ना मारो बड़ी जान के जींदा वे कड़ियां दा बिजमान वो जींद को ना मारो जिंदा जी अम्मा पका दी रोटियां जिंदा जी अम्मा वे पका दी रोटियां थानेदार दिखादा सोटियां थानेदार दिखादा वे सोटियां जीत को ना मारो ना मारो ना मारो बड़ी जान जींदा कड़ियां दा बिजमान जींद को ना मारो जिंदा जी मीरपुरे दा तोरी जिंदा जी मीरपुरे दवे तोरी हक दा दांत बजा दवे जोड़ी जींद को ना मारो ना मारो ना मारो बड़ी जान जींदा कड़ियां दा बिजमान के जींद को ना मारो हो जींद को ना मारो ओ जिंदा जी मां में दे कर मंगया जिंदा जी मां में दे कर मंगया मां भी चावे परोटे टंगया जींद को ना मारो ना मारो ना मारो बड़ी जान जींदा कड़ियां दा बिजमान के जींद को ना मारो ओ जींद को ना मारो जिंदा जी अम्माई दिलगीर जिंदा जी अम्माई दिलगीर जींदा पंजा पेड़ा दा वीर जींदा के जी